Hi, my name is Eloise. I am a Cambridge Law graduate and former corporate lawyer, now an author and psychotherapist, and I'm also an admissions tutor. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to get work experience for law. So what is law work experience? This is really any kind of placement, and this could range from a 6-week placement over summer to a couple of days shadowing at a local law firm. Any kind of work experience or work immersion that you have within the legal sector, or a work experience that's within a different field but that has strong legal elements. And why is work experience for law important? Well, you're going to talk about it in one main place, which is the personal statement, and then it may also come up at interview if you've had a particularly interesting or profound work experience placement. The other thing it might do for you, and this is more looking at your career in the future, is it might actually give you a sense of whether you want to use your law degree to become a lawyer or not. And this is not something you need to decide right now. And it's actually not something you will bring up normally during the process of applying for a law degree, because as you all know, if you've watched our other videos on law personal statements and law supercurriculars, the law degree is not a vocational degree, at least in England and Wales, which means that you will not come out qualified as a lawyer. So you don't need to make up your mind right now. But what work experience can do is give you an ability to see how the study of law, the things you've been learning in your books, in your supercurriculars, is applied in practice. So the link between the theoretical side and the practical side. Of course, if you do want to be a lawyer in the future, work experience is also a great way to have a taster of the profession, whether you're shadowing a solicitor or you're in court or you're doing something within a big organization that relates to law. You can see how the law has a direct impact in people's lives, in business, in government, in politics, in pretty much all aspects of our society. So we will talk in more detail about how to find work experience. So don't worry if you don't have anything in mind now and you're worried about finding it. We will go through some ways that even if you don't have a single connection in the legal field, you can still get some work experience in different ways. But first, let's talk about which types of work experience are useful for the purposes of your personal statement, which is where mainly you will be talking about it. Now, pretty much any work experience in the legal field is going to be helpful. So obviously, the most traditional types might be either with a solicitor or a barrister. So within a solicitor's firm, it might be things like a shadowing opportunity or going in for a set work experience scheme or program. Over on the barrister side of the profession, it might be following a barrister as they do their work, or maybe sitting in on meetings or client calls or things that barristers are doing in their everyday course of work. On the judicial side, you might have an opportunity to go to court, and we'll talk about how anyone should be able to get a similar kind of experience, even if you don't have any connections to a judge or anyone in the judicial system. We'll talk about that later on in the video. You might also be able to get work experience maybe on the paralegal side or on the legal executive side, things that are less directly connected to the work of a lawyer, but are still immersed in the legal system. Let's say those are the most kind of fundamental legal work experiences that you might be able to get. Moving away from that, you've got things like work experience within government or policy. So those might have legal elements to them. So if you're working with a regulatory body or you're shadowing a politician, they might have strong legal elements, but they might not specifically be lawyers. And alongside that, you've got work experience at pretty much any kind of business or company or organization where, again, you might not have direct contact with a lawyer, but you might be able to speak to the in-house legal team, or you might be able to work on the policy team, or you might be able to have some involvement with legal aspects of what that business is doing. This is not a comprehensive list, so there may be other forms of work experience that are completely unique or individual to you, depending on what kind of opportunities you have. But those are the main or the central types. So how do you get law work experience? Now, the simplest option for people who have the privilege to be able to use a connection is that if there is someone in your family, friendship group, or your parents know someone, or the school can suggest someone, if there is a connection to someone in a law firm, a lawyer, maybe even a paralegal, or a non-lawyer, but someone who is working with the legal team, they might be able to get you an opportunity for shadowing. Now, it is less common for school age sort of GCSE or A-level students to be able to go into a law firm and do official programs, because these are normally reserved for students who are actually at university. Once you get into university, you have many, many, many more options to do work experience. These are normally called vacation schemes or sometimes mini pupilages. And these are actual programs where you can go in and spend time with lawyers, solicitors or barristers and really help you prepare for a career in that field. So don't worry if you don't manage to get official work experience with a solicitor or barrister at this stage. You will definitely have the chance to do that while you're at university. If you don't have any connections, and this was my experience as well, like I didn't know any lawyers, we didn't have any lawyers in the family or anything that we could draw on really. So the best advice here is to use your extended network. You can often go through school to see if they have any contacts. So speak to someone on your admissions team or a careers advisor at school and see if they have anyone in their network that they could suggest to connect you with someone. And if that fails, you may have to take a little bit of initiative and see if you can forge your own connections. Now, there is a method of doing this which should not be too pushy or demanding, but if you can reach out to a local law firm, say if you live in a town, there might be a law firm who's just on the high street and they deal maybe with like family law or wills or probate and things like that. You may be able to go in for a day and just see what the lawyers are up to there. That would be incredibly valuable work experience. So don't discount the opportunity just to go into a law firm and spend some time shadowing. The best way to do this is by doing a little bit of research first, so you understand what that firm actually offers, because obviously the most compelling pitches made by students to businesses, if they want to come in and see what that business is up to, is where the student really understands what the business is actually doing. So you explain you're a prospective law student, you've done lots of reading and lots of studying, but you would love to see it in practice. And would you be able to spend a day shadowing a lawyer? You know, you can offer to help with administrative tasks like filing or document management and just express that you have a real passion for law, and it would be such a privilege to be able to come in and witness it. If that is unsuccessful, a step down from that would be to just have a conversation with a lawyer at that firm. So you might ask, could I maybe interview a lawyer at that firm for my personal blog that I'm writing? Or would I be able to just chat to a lawyer about a day in their life and understand a little bit more about what they actually do as a career? That is still incredibly valuable. The best way to approach law firms is in a formal way, because obviously the law is an incredibly formal tool. So most lawyers will be used to writing letters. So if you can write to a local law firm a letter, that would be incredibly impressive. If not a letter, a very well written email, preferably not AI generated, but something that is authentic and personal and shows that you have a real understanding of what is happening there. Aside from reaching out to local law firms or local lawyers, you may also be able to look for official programs. Now, again, there aren't a huge amount of programs for GCSE or A-level students. These, again, are normally reserved for students a little bit further down the line towards their legal career. But check out online, see if you can Google or search up using other tools what are some programs for A-level or prospective law students that may offer you a glimpse into a law firm or some kind of work experience. Even if there isn't a full work experience placement, like there might not be a 2-week thing or even a week opportunity, but is there an open day? Is there an event you can attend at a law firm where they're talking about the work that they do? Is there some workshop that you can sign up for that gives you an ability to chat to lawyers at any kind of stage or any level? Now, one thing that has happened, especially since the pandemic, is virtual work experience. And I speak to a lot of students who say, you know, is this important? Is this valuable? Because anyone can sign up to these programs. And so do they really mean anything? I think it kind of depends on you and the other opportunities you have. I think if you were to put them in a hierarchy of most to least important, you're going to have virtual work experience on the kind of lower end of what is valuable or kind of proves your ability as a law student. And that is because, I mean, it's virtual, so it doesn't really reflect like the actual experience you would have on work experience or on a placement. And also it is open to everyone. So it doesn't really show any initiative over and above what the average student might be doing, which again, if you're applying to incredibly competitive universities, you really want to position yourself as someone who's taken the initiative to go above and beyond what everyone else is doing. Having said that, they can also be very important and helpful, especially if you're really struggling to get work experience elsewhere. So I would say if you have time available to do them, and you may not even end up talking about them on the personal statement, but at least you've had that experience and it would be a personal insight for you as well. You may also be able to follow lawyers on social media to get a sense of what their daily life is like. And again, this wouldn't really be something you could talk about on the personal statement as an achievement, but it definitely is something that helps you understand the profession a little bit more. And LinkedIn is always a great place to read up on what people are up to in their careers and their professional lives. Still in the law-related field, you can and should, if you're in the UK, visit a local court. And you can do this normally by just going to your county court or your local court and speaking to the front desk team there and explaining that you are an aspiring law student and that you would love to sit in on a case. And you can normally spend an afternoon or a morning or a day just watching trials that are happening. That is normally available not for all courts and not for all types of cases, but it should be available at least for some trials. If you're in London, there are a huge number of courts that are open to the public, and you should definitely make the most of this opportunity. In fact, it's a great idea if you're coming down to London for open days for different universities. If you're going to a KCL open day or a UCL open day, go to visit a court on that day as well. If you're in London, if you're staying here just for the weekend, really good thing to do. So moving out of the law field, if you're unable to get any kind of legal work experience and you've really tried reaching out and you've tried different initiatives and you tried researching and you still are unsuccessful and you've spoken to your school and your contacts and everything and that still has proved unsuccessful for you, you can get any other type of work experience and then do your best to get some legal element involved in that work experience. So for example, say if you're doing some work experience at a bank or you're doing some work experience at a company that makes ships, you could then speak to the team, whoever's organising your placement, and say, could I take a look at the contracts that are involved here? Could I speak to the legal person if there's a legal team or an in-house lawyer? Could I take a look at client communications in relationship to this regulatory policy or any kind of law adjacent policies that are going on within the organisation? Think about health and safety policies, employment policies, contracts with customers, how things are governed on a regulatory level, how things interact with policies and laws on a global or an international level. All of these things are embedded within pretty much every company that operates. So you always have an opportunity to find something that has a law element within it. So once you have work experience, if you've secured some kind of placement or some kind of internship or even a shadowing opportunity, what should you be doing when you're on it? Now, obviously, an average student might just turn up and complete the tasks that are given to them, but an exceptional student is going to go in with some goals and objectives of their own. So maybe you want to experience a particular type of law, or you want to learn more about how the law operates in these kind of circumstances. Ask questions. If you have an opportunity to chat to lawyers, ask them about what they do, ask them what their passions are, maybe even ask them about their own journey into law. You can also ask for recommendations. So what do they recommend that you read, or what would they recommend that you look for in terms of resources? How would they recommend that you enhance your own application to become a law student? Exceptional students are also going to be taking initiative, so not only completing tasks that are given to you, but asking for more work or more responsibilities to do something, maybe offering to do something like take notes on a call, or would you be able to read this document and summarize it, or would you be able to research something for them? Offering your services will also give you that sense of taking responsibility, and it will expose you to a huge range of skills that you can chat about on your personal statement. It's really important, therefore, that you take some notes when you're on work experience, that you don't just kind of forget about the work experience as soon as it's over on Friday afternoon, but you also keep a log of what you actually learned, the different departments that you worked in, the things that you took away from it, the things that you might want to talk about in interview if it comes up, the things that you'll want to emphasize on your personal statement. And remember, when you're framing the things that you've learned for the purposes of your personal statement, you're thinking about them through the lens of the academic law degree. So whenever you express your passions, you're thinking, how does this relate to this course that I'm applying for? Not necessarily my future career as a lawyer, but the actual course and the study of law. And finally, what should you do if you really cannot find any work experience? Well, the number one thing is to start early, because obviously you want more time in the process to be able to think about what your work experience is going to be. Really exhaust every opportunity of connections that you have, including what your school can offer, because often there are alumni that come in and help support students who want to move into particular careers. Other than that, you want to attend as many free open days as possible, or workshops or courses or lectures or presentations, things that you can attend where you're listening to lawyers talk. You can also do some of that online. If you're really unable to get to a court, you can watch a lot of court hearings online. Some Supreme Court hearings also streamed online on their YouTube channel. So you can definitely watch court proceedings without attending. And obviously your virtual work experience programs, which are open to most people. More creatively, you could think about things that you could do within the school context. So let's say you're in debates club. Could you have a debate focused on some kind of part of the legal profession? If you're in some kind of club that has the opportunity to invite speakers in, could you invite a lawyer in and quiz them or talk to them? Could you create a podcast or a blog on the life of a lawyer and the things that you've learned just by researching online? There are so many ways you can do this now, because you have so much more access to information than any other student throughout time has ever had. So please do make the most of it. Take responsibility for generating your own experience. And honestly, in my experience of working with students, it is normally the students that do not have connections just handed to them that actually have the most compelling and meaningful work experiences because they have had to go out there and search for them themselves. So please don't be discouraged if all of your friends are going to their parents' workplace and having some kind of opportunity with their parents, which is great if you do have that on offer to you. Obviously, do take opportunities that come to you, but don't worry if you don't have that kind of thing, because you can create your own journey into law and to being a law student as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll get back to you. If you could subscribe, you'll get updates on new videos. And if you have any friends who might be interested in this topic, please do send them the video, share it with them. If you feel like you would benefit from any support, guidance, assistance in your applications journey, please do get in touch using the information on screen now and someone will get back to you. We have a whole range of tutors who are highly qualified in every aspect of the admissions process, and you can be matched with someone who can really assist you on the journey. And as always, best of luck with your applications.